Hey traders, welcome to another edition of the Crypto Lab with Alex, featured by Trading Analysis. Sorry for the small delay. I had a problem in the streaming software, so now all it's fine. I hope you're good. So we are in front of a Christmas and New Year holidays. You can expect some of the volumes definitely to drop and to come back around 10th, 15th of January. Lots of people are already on vacation, so since the cryptos are lately accept the many incidents we have and actually broke a kind of a solid correlation with the risk on assets, we are still looking, I think, to be more or less correlated with them. So I don't expect any moves of a bigger magnitude, although sometimes when the low volumes are present, we might see some drastic moves just because of that low volume. So that was rare, but it happens. It happened in a couple of years with these holidays, and yeah, we will see that. So of course, the interest rates are affecting the global liquidity. So we have Fed relatively hawkish, I think, not so much with the reason. I think they're very happy that they're seeing inflation moving lower. They kept the narrative, I think, for any case, but I think they're going to plateau or kind of stop raising rates between 4.50 and 5%. And the inflation data, as we were looking for the last couple of months on the macro coverage in the Crypto Lab, are moving lower. Last CPI was 7.1, projected 7.3, so we came lower even below that, and the drop was from 7.7, so it's a significant move to the downside. So 2-year yields around 420, 425, 415, so around the Fed rate currently. So I don't think they're going to move much on the upside before they are actually pause and wait a couple of months. So GDP came out. Some of the data was relatively stronger. Market is selling off due to backing up actually the Fed narrative. But I don't think that is so. It's not some big movements. These are the revisions, big revisions, but they're not so that significant that I think the Fed narrative will hold on through whole 2023. So today we are going to look Bitcoin and Ether. We are not going to dive into macro. We will start and renew a couple of macro stuff after a new year. It's good to kind of relate what the years we had, what the year has been, especially in cryptos in the last weeks of this 2022. So this was definitely an ice age. Calling it a crypto winter, it was an ice age with the FTX scandal. Today that there was a news that two Alameda employees was pleading guilty on various accounts of fraud. They probably getting some deals between with the prosecutors. So actually the main risk girl and one more guy, which was the co-owner, I think, are cooperating with the investigation. So charges are pretty serious. So you know, I'm more like to see this people as a very unserious kid stuff game, and the consequences is over 50, 60 and even 100 years in prison. So kids got carried away, I think, playing in the playing field. So we will see on the end what will be the final prosecution and the final indictments for Sam Bankman, but definitely this will be far from sweet. So Binance, still rumors about potential holdings, potential how the Binance actually is standing behind all of these figures and numbers. Do they have liquidity to cover the drain? We have seen in the last couple of weeks 3 billion went out. Binance hold on pretty nicely. CZ was happy for the stress test. We will see if that will continue. So we have also seen Kevin O'Leary actually accusing Binance of collapsing the FT, and I mean all of this story is still very hot. We're gonna see, I think, in a couple of months what was actually going on there when we see all of the facts. So let's switch to Bitcoin chart. Let's look first Bitcoin and what is going on. So as you know, our case for the Bitcoin was the ending diagonal already for some time. As you know, I was reluctant to actually anchor the wave 4 here. We are looking this move from the upside as a 5-wave move. Subdivisions are okay. We don't have a major, from the Elliott Wave perspective, major wave count invalidations here or some big compromises, in a sense that we have to do some relocation of these phases, how the which we mark actually with numbers and letters, how actually the market unfold. So very relatively simple wave count from this B wave high in this bullish case, wave 1 down, up in 2, down in 3, up in 4, and ending diagonal in 5. My target's around between 14 and 15K. So if we unglare a little bit, this is a daily chart. So from the highs here at 25, 26K almost, we have ABC down, which is ending diagonals are very specific and very telling patterns, because they're announcing you we are in the last move lower. So we dropped, we are losing almost 80% of the price, which was kind of a similar as the previous cycles on a larger time frame. So we are still not actually moving this wave 4 from here. Time ratio between the time elapsed in a wave 2 and wave 4 starts to get a little bit tricky, and we need to actually, of course, go and show some of the upside movement before the wave count invalidation, which comes at 13,800, 900, which is depends on a software, I mean on a feed that you have with prices, but anyhow it's around 3,800 up to 3,900. So nevertheless, if we take and measure this time ratio in a sense of time elapsed in a wave 2 and wave 4, we have to be careful that we are going to come very soon to 2618, which is the last ratio. This really starts to become, as you even see on the charts, very doesn't have a big proportion with the previous wave, wave 2. Wave 2 was relatively simple, while the wave 4 is complex. That is very simple because it will be some type of a ABC on the downside. This was a leading diagonal in A, flat in B, down in C, 5 waves up in a wave 3, topping a little bit earlier to allow a big flat to unfold, 3 waves down in A, 3 waves up in B, and 5 waves down in C. And we need to hold 14K, 13,900, the last levels, I will say. And we need to exhibit some impulsive price action on the upside. In the current situation, as I said, sentiment is one of the things that we look when we actually search for some lows. Here in this situation, sentiment cannot be worse, in my opinion, probably in all market participants' opinion. Retail is pretty decimated. There is rarely left of the retail groups. And I have been receiving from my members many of the infos regarding the Discord groups that were running actually some kind of a crypto advisory. Many of them are shut down, so not many of the retail investors has left alive in this wreckage. On the downside, we are lucky to say that clients of trading analysis are among the last standing, because we approach this very cautiously from the risk perspective, and that was one of our successes, of course, in 2022, more likely in all of these periods where we had a big distress on the crypto markets. So sentiment is definitely one of the things that is satisfactory for this to be a potential low. Also the RSI, if we look on a weekly, it's behaving rather nicely. We have some type of a small divergence already happening. That's all good kind of a technical signs. But from the standpoint of a potential institutional investors, because retail is anyhow very affected either by spending the majority or at least some part of their investable income battling with the current inflation and higher prices, and also of course if they left alive with some funds with all of these markets moving sharply lower, with Terra Luna collapse, with FTX and all of this stuff. So we will need either some institutions to step in and push these markets in this wave 5. We will also need a macro environment or a Fed to stop hiking rates, liquidity to come back to some extent, stock market to rally, and then that will be a good kind of a macro setup for the cryptos to start, at least for Bitcoin and Ether, to start to move further on the upside. If we have the wave count invalidation and actually we go below 14K, 13,800, 900, in this case, on this crypto, this is a Binance data. I have a crypto compare data where this wave count invalidation is a little bit lower. As you can see, 13,826. Let me just glare this. So basically, just a different print here. Let's say we are around 13,900, 800. So we will take that as a kind of a good level. So between these two prints. Anyhow, if we don't stop here, we actually invalidate the bullish wave count, because Elliott Wave is one of our tools where we primarily look the developments of patterns and where we are. It's our orientational tool and also a risk tool. We try to determine where will be the least possible risk, where we want to be engaged in the markets. So in this respect here, definitely I think we are in the last section, so I'm going to look to put some limit orders at some levels to buy it. If we are not actually in the next potential bullish outlook, and we invalidate actually the potential of the bull run, my next case is actually just an ABC pullback. Sorry about all of these things. This is left from our members' webinars in cryptos. So we do look all of these things, trying to determine where this actually might, how this might be unfolding. But as you can see here, if we go below these levels, we actually invalidate the bullish wave count. We need to anchor a higher degree wave 3 here on the larger time frame wave count. As I said, RSI is good, sentiment is good. So as a third part, we will need some of regulations, definitely, which might spur some institutional interest back. And also the fact we trade below 200 moving average, which was holding actually Bitcoin price through all of almost 2014 up to here. We are trading now significantly, I will not say significantly, but pretty nicely below it, which is not a favorable sign. So In the move on the upside, in the case we invalidate this, I will go with a 5-wave move lower in A, up in B, and down in C, which will actually project Bitcoin to go in the previous wave for region, which comes around between 3 and 5K. Okay, so this is relatively very simple. There is some combinations of patterns where we can morph. Also, we have equality. We don't know how big this B wave will be, but in that respect, depends on the heights of this wave B. If, as you can see, as I move it, the target will actually move towards a lower level. So if the B comes lower, definitely equality or a measured move can be between 4 and 5K. If B goes a little bit higher, it can be around 5 to 7K. So that depends how the B wave actually unfolds. So if we invalidate, as I said, this, we will consider this to be a wave A. We will expect some bull run in a corrective nature, lasting maybe through 2023, maybe in the beginning 2024, maybe during also the halving. Halving is 2024 March, and then we continue lower. So definitely we are thinking at Trading Analysis that we are in the last sequence of this move to the downside, and very soon we're going to start moving impulsively on the upside, either in a new bull trend, depends on the wave count invalidation levels, or just in a corrective move and then continuation to the downside. So if you ask me how we are going to know in which phase, there is some simple finesses and tricks we learned along the way with the 10-15 plus years in Elliott Wave. So there is a couple of things our members are already been informed to what is actually going on here and how we will actually differentiate between something which might have of an impulsive nature and something which might have of a corrective nature. So we will keep that secret sauce for our members. But definitely we expect move on the upside after this ending diagonal is finished. So just to go on a smaller time frame to show you what the ending diagonal looks like in the smaller time frame. So let me take this another feed, because I think it's more okay for a closer inspection. So yeah, so far, if we look the structure of this ending diagonal, it looks pretty nice. Especially we had this necessary overlap because we needed that. I talked about that in the previous Crypto Labs weeks ago, that we need to see an overlap, and actually that happened. It was a pretty nice overlap, not very big one, and it didn't hold continuing on the upside, but just enough to actually give validity to ending diagonal. And then I think now we are in an ABC phase, actually in A wave. Possibly we are now doing some type of a B wave, or if this proves to be a flat, one more move down, but basically doesn't change much. We will move wave 5 here, look for a pullback, and then continuation to the downside. So our members has been looking this pattern for almost a couple of months, I think. So this should be the last leg to the downside. As I said, to ending diagonals are very telling, because you have a pretty sharp reaction when the ending diagonal is complete, and that's kind of a very justifiable, because we have 80% loss on the downside. Okay, so that is something that that will definitely spur some buying here on the downside levels. Maybe there is some already big orders there placed. On-chain analytics kind of agrees. There has been, their analysis is nice, but on-chain by itself, I think, is good to look. I think in these critical phases, couple of weeks back, they're also looking for some potential lows. And when you combine all of that, it kind of gives you a picture what might happen next. So I hope you all get you're all okay with the Bitcoin presentation. So if you have any questions in regards of a Bitcoin, for me the picture is relatively clear, especially after this wave count invalidation levels. After we see what happens with them, and even if we don't invalidate, I will look for an ABC first, and if we continue, I will then turn that into a third wave. So all of this can be summed up a little bit more downside, 14-15K. Then I expect a 5-wave move up, pullback, and then a continuation on the upside. My next levels for Bitcoin after this consolidation pattern or ending pattern is actually done is between if we are in an ABC between 27 and 33K on the upside. First resistance levels will be here at 24.19, 20, let's say 25. So this will be the first resistance levels. Usually first part of the impulsive wave goes up to there, then a pullback, and then a continuation on the upside. So between 30 to 35K in a case of a pullback. This will be my kind of a best case scenario if we have only a pullback before we roll over. Okay guys, so let's look Ether, which looks completely different from a couple of perspectives. So let me just touch on Ethereum Bitcoin. Ethereum Bitcoin is, we have been bullish since I don't know when, and with our members on this Ethereum Bitcoin chart. I think I flagged that for some clients around here or some around here. So already January 2021, we recognize this as a leading diagonal with a 3-wave pullback and a push on the upside. So we were looking for a further development higher. For now, from the perspective of the pattern development, this is behaving kind of a relatively nice so far. So 1, 2, up in 3, ABC pullback in 4. And now we already have a first impulsive sequence before we continue higher. So I think in the next bull run, which might start in January, Ether will be definitely a favored one than the Bitcoin, either if we are just in a pullback or we are in a new bull run. So let me just show you the Ether chart. So I have 2 wave counts on Ether. They're not differing too much. So Ether is already holding better because this weekly RSI is relatively nice. We are not trading much below it. My first wave count is that Ether already posted a potential wave for lows in 1. This is a complex wave 2 down to 786, around 1000 levels. On Ether, which has been a relatively viable analysis we track with our members for already a couple of weeks as well. And to tell you honestly, I usually don't like to see such a big wave 2 hesitations for a couple of psychological reasons. How do we observe wave 2 in the Elliott Wave world? Usually wave 2s are when we see the change of a trend, and they're very pretty quick and sharp to the downside, because when you have a downtrend, market still doesn't believe that we will have some turnaround. So that's why wave 2s are sharp. When you have a wave 2 going so much stretched, I don't know. I mean, I didn't see much of a situations when the wave 2 stretches. To tell you honestly, there has been a couple of cases where this consolidations was lasting so long, but I'm not so comfortable with it. I don't know. It's a gut, it's a feel, maybe, but we will see. But still, I have this as a main wave count. The second one is relatively simple. It'll portray something the same as in Bitcoin. So just an ending diagonal. This is a full-fledged 5-wave move with a ending diagonal pattern, basically same as in the Bitcoin, going maybe down to these levels, posting some type of a double bottom, sorry, and then continuation on the upside. So this is the bull case. In the bear case of the Ether, it will happen, basically, it will have the same pattern as Bitcoin. So we will see an ABC pullback on the upside, and then we will continue on the further on the downside. So that's relatively easy. So this is the higher time frame wave count with this ending diagonal. So this will be just 1, 2, up in 3, ABC for a flat, some around these levels, and then we're going to see 5 waves up, a pullback, and a continuation up some of this region for the wave 5. In the case the wave 5 is already done, our analysis will have to go for the ABC pullback. So basically, this is the kind of a secondary scenario where we have some signs that also this might be the case. So from the Elliott Wave perspective, I don't like this wave 5 being so small, but there is a couple of levels. First, the 3 versus 1 projection of the third wave is 2618. So we are looking semi-log scale. And then we also have a couple of things, which is, I'm going to show you, and it's an interesting case for observation. So usually what we look for a wave 4 pullback is 38% retracement, which is exactly here. Also, when we project some targets for the wave 5, there is a 38.2% and 61.8% target for the wave 5, and we measure that by using one of the fib tools, which is called projection. So projections are something that we measure the length of the wave 1 through 3. Okay, so I'm going to show you that. So what we do, we actually have these 3 kind of legs where we tried, as you can see, we get 38 and 61. This is the most 2 usual targets. We achieved already 38.2. Okay. And that is a reason for me just to have the bearish wave count alive as well with the bullish one. So as I said, this B wave in Bitcoin will determine the destiny of these 2. If this is the bearish wave count, then we have a wave 1, wave 2. This is a beginning of Ether. And then we have 5 waves up in a wave 3, reaching 2618, which is one of the high ratios. I mean, we have seen in cryptos even this 4-to-3 ratio, which is very rare in other assets classes, maybe sometimes in commodities. But 2618, it's a pretty big extension, projection 1 through 2 to get a target for the wave 3. Most usual one is 1618, which was at 40 bucks for 1 ETH. But we came to this bigger extension. So then we are faced with the probability also that this is a 5-wave move. We go down, we actually post either a double bottom, or we actually just go marginally below these previous lows, which will be a wave A. We get a pullback through 2023 in a wave B, which will be in 3 waves. So basically same what I was talking about the Bitcoin. And then we go down in C, which will actually usually comes around the previous wave 4, which will be around 100 before we continue higher in a new uptrend. Okay. So this is the worst case scenario, kind of a bearish outlook. And of course, this is the bullish one. So I think that most of these decisive moves will be in 2023, and they will be happening in this region on Ether. So they will go from around 1,900 up to 2,200. So this will be the region which I will observe very carefully and how the patterns actually unfolds in them. But it's relatively simple from the Elliott Wave perspective to spot what will be most likely scenarios in 2023 when we have the first leg on the upside. So the first leg, I think it's going to be key for different for next conclusions. So yeah, guys, so that's Ether and Bitcoin. I will do only one chart. We have a lot of things to do on a stock service, a trading analysis. So I'm gonna go on a team meeting. We have a strategy session, and I'm gonna do one. I hope you are. I don't know what Peter is saying, that one thing that in 4 ending diagonal emoji cannot be a flat. I really don't know what are you saying. Ending diagonals are very observable structures in any fifth waves. So I don't know what you're saying. There is no any rules and any things which are actually confirm what you say here. And of course, with the 15 years of experience, I tend to think I know pretty much about the pattern development. So yes, ending diagonals can be a part of a flat, just for your information. And they can even be part of a flat of the whole thing. So ending diagonals can even form into whole fifth wave or a whole third wave into a flat. So just to clarify this for other viewers, so when you have a flat, this is an expanding flat variety, if this is a flat at all. So expanding, there is 3 types. There is a normal flat, which kind of have equal legs. So this will be when you have a higher high, and this one is obviously higher because you see a distinctive ratio. This is an expanding flat, which means that the B wave goes above a previous high, and then this one can go 127 or even more to the downside. So this leg, because the flats are 335, can be in a form of a diagonal itself, or can be a 5-wave move where the 5th wave can be diagonal without no problem. So I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, so let me just look a couple of charts. One chart for today. So let me just see. Hey Schnitzel, what's up? Phantom. No chilies anymore, huh? Wave 4 has to develop as a zigzag. It is a zigzag. Who said it's not? We are now having an Elliott Wave discussion. I love them. It is a zigzag. And obviously you didn't read the new edition of the Elliott Wave. So not necessarily they can be zigzags. In the ending diagonals, any family of a 3-wave move can be there. So I don't have a time to show you that. I'm maybe going to show you in the next streams. So I'm going to find you the discussion about that. So what you're saying, it's not correct. That's first. And secondly, specifically on the Bitcoin, where we looked the pullback on the upside, that's not a flat, it's a zigzag ABC with the 5 waves up, where the C wave actually is, this is not a flat, okay? So 3 waves up, 3 waves down, and we can form this in a form of a ABC on the upside, or on Bitcoin we can form it as a form as a down in B and up in C in diagonal or a complex wave. So I'm going to show you the next time some of the families of the corrections that are allowed in the ending diagonals. So that was actually correct in the former thinking in the old book, but relatively in the last I would say 10-15 years, there is some revisions of that work. And also, when you're dealing with Elliott Wave, that's a big discussion, because we have original Elliott Wave work, which is greatly revised by Proctor, and a couple of late editions. which actually done a marvelous job, of course, by catalogizing the pattern. But some of the things you can read in original work allows a little bit more conformity with patterns, which I think it's more reliable in today's markets than a kind of a couple of strict rules which are changing now. So that's a big discussion for another stream, and it's not something that is so easy explainable. But I will post you next time a couple of links where you can find some readings and find some families of patterns which are actually all patterns are allowed in ending diagonals and in leading one as well. Okay, no, I'm always like to clarify. That's why I always current wave count on Matic kind of respects all of the stuff that we are seeing on the bullish wave count. Okay, so from the beginning in Matic we have a wave 1 and very complex wave 2. So as I said before, in Ether, this is rarity, okay? This is not happening so often. So we have a wave 1, 3 waves down in W, X, and then another 3 waves down in Y. And if you can notice, this has been going from April 2019 to April 2020, so almost a year of the consolidation. And then we start an intermediary move, which also needs to have 5 waves on the upside. And then I think this was a pullback in wave 4. So I do count this as a beginning of a new uptrend already. Okay. So this is can be also a flat if this develops in a 5-wave move down, or it can be WXY. Okay. So X wave can go above also the previous wave 1. And in that respect, this will be A, triangle B down in C. So my target is around 0.68, 0.67. Okay. So we need to see exactly how the things will unfold here. Okay. So we are tracking very, very closely Matic. We can also argue that this is just a 3-wave move or a part of a bigger correction, but for now we don't have that evidence. So once you don't have any evidence, you have to go with the 2 wave counts, which is I think enough. You don't need to have 10 of them. So first one is 5-wave move up, ABC on the downside, or this needs to be a flat actually to be valid in some type of a diagonal form, or we have a WXY for the wave 2 and a continuation on the upside. So if we are, as you can see, in something of a difference, and we take here as a larger big wave 4, this can be just an ABC X ABC. So there is a different form, but the targets are the same. So not much of a difference how you will label this, because some of the levels that you look from the perspective of ratios between these legs and also some of the retracement levels will show you basically the will show you some of the range where actually you're gonna have this as a possible bounce on the upside. So I'm very much keen to know what is going to happen on Polygon or Matic. So I like Matic very much. It's holding very well, and it's one of the cryptos which is I think holding pretty nicely. While Polkadot, I will show you just that chart. We have been bearish for this one already from upside. So we are coming to a very, very nice zone on Polkadot, also in the ending diagonal feature. Okay. Yeah, so we are looking for a bounce. I don't think this will happen. This will be like a former YouTube stars mooning some of the coins. So I'm looking for an ABC pullback. I'm always conservative in the beginning, but this also might happen. Okay. Okay, guys. So thank you. I think that updates on the Bitcoin and Ether was very very long, and that from our perspective at Trading Analysis and our track record, it has been pretty nice over the last couple of years, tracking what's going on with Bitcoin and Ether. So this is our outlook. We will definitely inform you what do we see in the next weeks. I don't know if we're going to have a Crypto Lab next week. We might pause and kind of relax, recap, and see what we plan for 2023. If you like to be, of course, a member of Trading Analysis, please join us. We have an extensive service for the cryptos. Will the crypto space recover? Yeah, that depends. If the Binance goes under, I think that will be a nail in the coffin, at least for a couple of years. I hope nothing is going to happen there. But as I said before, sentiment can change very, very quickly. So you need to follow these phases in the sentiments. Sentiments are very tricky things to track. And you need to see where the sentiment from this negativity kind of goes into neutral space, where then that is something that you can work with if you have a bullish outlook. So thank you guys. I wish you a Merry Christmas. We in Serbia have a different date because of the different calendars that we celebrate Christmas. Ours is on 7th of January, but it's the same holiday. So I wish you and you and your families a very warm Christmas and New Year as well. So next week, no Crypto Lab. Will continue after the New Year, and see you in 2023, guys. So I'm looking forward to these potential reversals, and we are planning with our members some of the limit orders. And yeah, so that's it, guys. Click the like button, support our channel and our analysis. We put a lot of work and effort to give you this basically for free. So we just ask you to give us back your like or subscribe to our channel, and eventually becoming a member at Trading Analysis Crypto Service. So see you guys after a new year. All the best, and bye bye.